It's drilled to left field. Is it high enough? See ya! A walk-off grand slam, and the Yankees win.
And he drives one to right field over toward the line. Long run for Laureano, and he runs it, and the Mets win the ball game.
Episode 60 of The Burrows. I'm Kevin Bunk, joined by Michael Marlowe every week for BTO Media talking baseball. And Mike, Mets are back. And I just want to get your thoughts here before I get into my negative spiel about their pitching injuries. But you got to be feeling a little bit good now compared to when we were on here Tuesday and they couldn't win a game.
Yeah, I feel great. That's a huge win. I mean, last night you lose Canning, and we're obviously going to talk about that. But now you need to get, what was it? You need to get, when you get in the third inning, so you need to get like 6 innings from your bullpen there, which has already been incredibly taxed, not only, throughout the entire season, but the last 2 weeks. And Austin Warren steps up, gives you 2 1/3 scoreless innings. They had retired 17 of the last 18 batters. Olsen hit a single in the 9th with 2 outs against Diaz. So it's a very impressive win. It's one of those like real feel-good wins. You're coming off this tough stretch, and hopefully you're out of this tough stretch with 2 straight against a team that you hadn't beat until Wednesday night.
Yeah, this feels good. I think, you get the 2 wins, and like we can sit here and be like, oh, they split with a team, sub 500 team. Are we really feeling that good about it? But first of all, 4-game set, always hard to win, especially in the division. Yep. But when we know the context of the Mets and Braves and the way that Soto played this week and this whole month, it's hard to sit here and not feel good about it and not think they're getting some of that momentum back. I think they hit that June swoon that we see the Mets have hit in the past. A lot of teams hit it. June seems to be a tough calendar month in Major League Baseball for contenders because I think that fatigue starts to set in of like it's a long season. We still have a really long season left to go. A couple injuries start to hit you, but it looks like they're back right now in a little bit of a groove. It was important to salvage those last 2 games, and now we'll see what they do this weekend.
Yeah, they needed those 2 games, and you're heading to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh stinks, right? We know that. And then you're home for the Brewers and the Yankees, so a tough stretch, tough homestand for them. The Brewers are playing good ball. It's just, again, like the way they were able to win that game on Thursday night, and then Wednesday, obviously, with Soto. I talked about it yesterday. Soto basically having his first big city field moment, right? Like he had a huge moment for them as a Met, hitting 2 home runs against the Phillies last weekend and leading them to a win. That was big. But at Citi Field, in front of the home fans, in front of a rival, that was big. And they've needed him throughout this entire stretch. Even though they haven't won many games, they've needed him, and he's done what he's needed to do.
Last week, I asked you, because we did Devers, Who'd You Rather? We talked about Alonso in that, and then we talked a little bit about Alonso Lindor. I asked you, when you look at the best player on the Mets, you kind of just jump to Lindor, even though the numbers are better. Well, I think now we have hit a spot that will be in for a very long time where Juan Soto's the best player on the Mets and nobody's going to question it. Because we had to get to that point first where he was playing this way. We know he's the most high profile, the most prolific talent on the team all year long. But now I'm at the point where the Mets finally have their superstar Juan Soto that is the best player on this team. And it's showing up right now. And I think we're going to be at this place for a while with him as their top player.
It'll never be his team, right? Because
Yes.
Lindor is going to be the leader of this team until he retires, and maybe he passes the torch to Soto at some point. Who the hell knows? But yeah, in terms of the most talented player, talented hitter on the team, it's always going to be Soto. We've been waiting. You had asked me a ton. We had talked about it a ton. When the Mets were winning games, it still didn't feel as special as it should have because Soto was just not playing up to the expectation we thought he was going to play to. And now that he is playing like this, and now the wins need to come, obviously, but it all has come together now and really feels more real and more exciting.
Absolutely. I'm excited right now watching the Mets. I'm excited watching Soto. When Soto gets going, there are really, 2 or 3 guys in baseball as enjoyable to watch. And it's one of those arguments like, who would you rather watch sometimes isn't always the best player. I just give me a second to lay this all out. But a lot of times we sit here and I'm like, oh, I love watching Pete Crow Armstrong, but he's not the best player in baseball. But I love watching, Cal Raleigh right now. I don't know if Cal Raleigh's the best player in baseball. Like, there's electric guys that you love watching, and a lot of times it's pitchers for me. But Soto, this is what I thought last year, is one of the few guys that has that great electricity factor. Like Jazz Chisholm has it, Fernando Tatis has it. But when Soto, like when they're fun, when they're good.
Okay, all right. Don't put those.
What up, Yankees is rolling? Besides Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm's the guy that I have the most fun watching.
Okay.
Tatis might not be better than Machado the last few years, but he's the one I like watching most.
Okay,
good. That's what I'm trying to get at. But when Soto is that guy, he's like the king of those guys.
Yeah.
He's the LeBron James of Jazz Chisholms.
Is that a good thing?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's probably not a good thing.
He's the guy that when he's going, not only is he possibly the best player in baseball, but he's the most fun to watch by far. Bryce Harper was like that for a while too.
Yeah,
He was the leader of the pack he's electric to watch. Because Judge, we love Judge. Like, has he given you that swagger and that great cocky flashiness all the time that you love to see? No, he doesn't do that. That's just not who he is. But he's the best player in the league for most of the year. You get what I'm saying.
Did you see what Mendoza said after it was either before the game yesterday or after the game on Wednesday? He had just said when he's on like this, it's just a treat to watch. It's like a show. Like he's his own kind of show when he's up at bat. And it's very true, and it's fun. It's cool to hear the manager say that because, the manager's got to be, professional and this and that and straightforward. But to hear the manager actually say that about another player on his team, and we all know it's true. I mean, it's one of the more exciting parts of the game whenever he's at the plate. But for the manager to say that, it's pretty funny, and it's cool to hear.
And last year, I think we all learned that a bit because you would have known it from watching Soto if you were a baseball fan in Washington and in San Diego. But I thought it just became different last year. Obviously, I have a bias towards his Yankees, the attention I gave him when he was on the Yankees versus San Diego or Washington. But we watched him in the postseason. We watched him before he was a Yankee be this great player still. But we finally got the show last year when he got on the big stage. And now he's still on a big stage. He's not in Washington or San Diego. And the show is just as alive and ever this past 2-3 weeks, I feel like, at Citi Field. And people don't want, Yankee fans don't want to say that because they're like, oh, he's had more fun in the Bronx and he was more exciting in the Bronx. But
I see a lot of Yankee fans on our social media. I have a couple videos I posted about him saying some interesting stuff, and I just started laughing.
It's ridiculous because I should just say that for me personally. I just thought Soto, this is a great player. This is a generational eye. This is a generational batter. And then you got him to New York. And for us as New York guys, I said, okay, this really is a show every time he's up at bat. And Mets fans didn't get that for the first 6-7 weeks of the season. They started to get it a little more at the end of May, and now it's full swing in June. He's as alive as he was at any point last year with the Yankees. And that's great for baseball. That's great for the Mets. That's great for the sport.
We gotta throw this. This is good. It's great.
You ever see those?
That's a great.
It's like an NBA Twitter comparison. You ever see those? And they're like, it'll be. I'm trying to think of one that I would have seen, but it's like Michael. I don't even know if this one's too much of a deep cut. Whatever. I don't know. But there's always those comparisons. Like this guy is in NBA. It's like this guy's the Michael Jordan of Carmelo Anthony's, or
yeah. No, I've seen it.
Out of the swag players in the league, usually they're not the best players on their team or the best players in baseball, but Soto is.
Can I give you a puck update and give you the Dobson contract?
Yeah, give me a puck update.
8 years, $9.5 million extension. So I'm guessing that's 8 years, 9.5 a year for Dobson.
Yeah, and the Islanders got a 23-year-old, I guess third line winger, and the 16th and 17th pick in the draft. And they already have the first pick tonight. Giuseppe, talk to us, man. Giuseppe, talk to us. We need some puck talk, Giuseppe. Giuseppe, what do we got, man?
That's a big trade for my Isles, our Isles.
Hashtag Shagans, Giuseppe, because this is the new thing on Islanders Twitter now, Shagans, because they're taking Matthew Schaefer as the first pick.
Okay.
The kid James Hagans from is from Long Island.
Yes,
He wants
the
to
kid
be an
from
Islander
Boston
really
College,
bad.
right?
Yeah, he wants to be an Islander. So everyone's been saying they're trying to trade up to get Hagans. So Isles fans have done hashtag Shagans.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Back. We're back.
New York sports back.
No, the
Knicks,
Jets still exist.
sick draft last night. Knicks. Jets are back, bro. What do you mean?
Can I ask you a question? Like, not to completely go off the freaking rails.
Yeah,
here,
we're so far
but
off base.
how do
already.
the Knicks not have, like, you go through a draft, fine, whatever. You're gonna draft a player, and he's really not gonna have a say on what he does, right? Like, whatever the coach says, he's gonna do, right? He's a rookie.
Yep.
And they didn't even have a first round pick, so who the hell cares? But like, free agency opens up in like a week, right? Like, I'm not
July
crazy
8th.
here.
July 8th.
How-
but the tampering period might be the 6th. But it's the 8th.
How are players, like role players, going to come in here and sign with the Knicks, not knowing what the hell their role is going to be?
It's crazy.
Because they don't have a head coach. I don't understand.
It's crazy. And what's interesting about the Knicks is they have such a small front office, and they've done a great job, obviously, but there's like no leaks about anything ever. So normally with other sports, especially football, you get the head coaching search, like the Jets this offseason. You knew a week or two before the Jets hired Aaron Glenn, he was their
going to
guy.
be Aaron Glenn. Yeah.
You knew he was their guy. You knew it was going to be him if he wanted it. But with the Knicks right now, there was the initial wave of they're requesting to speak to these coaches.
Yeah.
And then there's just been nothing else since, except they did 2 interviews or 3 interviews.
And I've read a lot now that the kid wants the job. Like, kid wants
I think it's going to be Kid.
Kid wants to make his way here.
I think it's going to be Kid, but that's why they probably have to wait, because Dallas has to do their thing with it, and Kid has to force his way out.
And why would Kid want to leave that situation now?
I think the only reason is, I think there's 2 possible reasons. Then we'll get back to baseball. Is the
baseball show.
I think he possibly hates Nico Harrison after trading Luka without telling him.
Okay.
And the Knicks are the best team in the Eastern Conference. If everyone stays healthy on Dallas, they might be the 9th best team in the Western Conference.
It's a better chance to win
immediately
with the Knicks.
When I was doing the show with Gabe, the offseason show with Gabe, the play-in teams in the West won 3 less games than the Knicks. The play-in teams. The play-in teams in the East won 20 less games than the Knicks.
That's insane.
So the gap between the worst playoff teams in the West and the Knicks is closer than the gap between the Mavericks or the Knicks and the best playoff team in the West.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you got to be just looking to say, like,
get me out of the West.
One, you get to coach at Madison Square Garden with the Knicks while they're good, which is just like legendary stuff. Like, look at Thibodeau, everyone loves him because he made a conference final.
Yeah, got out coaching it.
Yeah, but got there. That's what we're hanging banners for getting there.
Yeah. You know what we're going to be hanging banners for this year in New York? Mets
split with the Braves.
Mets, well, yeah, they should actually do that. Mets World Series title. I'm feeling it.
We're going to do. Yeah, I'm just going to plug Contenders, Pretenders quick. If you're watching right now, we're going to do a big Contenders, Pretenders segment after we talk Yankees. So towards the end of the show, if you want to stick around for that, that's going to be fun. But you say what you were going to say.
Like, what is the Mets, like, now we'll obviously get into the pitching and the injuries that they have, with Canning probably snapping his Achilles last night. What is their biggest need? Like, you're going into the deadline. What is your biggest need?
I think their biggest need, which is different from Tuesday because of the injury news, is starting pitching. You know, I said they needed a hitter on Tuesday, but I think they have to add a top 4 starter because now I'm freaked out with Minaya. I don't know what you're thinking about Minaya.
I know.
Now I'm freaked out with it because we're like presidents of the Minaya fan club here. So this sucks that this is a conversation. But I had said in March in a video I posted on TikTok and Instagram, I just did a little thing about the Mets pitching, but really the Minaya injury right after it happened. And I said, you're probably not going to see this guy till middle of June. And everyone was like, no, it's an oblique. He's only going to be out 3 or 4 weeks. And we said here, because we understand the game and our physical bodies, we're very good athletes, that oblique injury is serious. So now to see him at the point where he probably should have been back and he's having another setback, I worry that there's only 2 possible outcomes here. And it's he doesn't really pitch much this season at all, and he just can't get rid of this injury, or he pitches a lot, but he's not nearly the guy we saw last year.
Yeah, he had the loose body in the elbow. They gave him a shot, and they expect him to, recover from that and feel good, and then hopefully make a rehab start early next week, and then he may be able to return after that. I agree with you. I'm concerned because they're not calling it a major setback, but it is a setback because he was supposed to make a rehab start probably later this week, and then maybe he's back early next week. And now with Canning going down, everything is just not great in the pitching aspect of things right now for them. McGill's down, he stunk. Canning's down. You just got Montas back. Obviously, Senga's down. And we don't know when he'll be back, probably 2 or 3 weeks, probably after the All-Star break. But yeah, it's not a good feeling because, we've seen it so many times with pitchers on our teams. When you have a guy that you think should be back earlier than, they're saying, right? Like, you're like, oh, like you said before, oblique, not that serious. You kind of just think to yourself, like, is this guy ever going to pitch? Like, is he ever going to pitch? He has a couple of setbacks. You ever going to see him? And how many innings is he going to throw?
It's how it feels to me right now. Is I just don't. I think the least likely outcome, unfortunately, is Manaea pitches from, after the All-Star break through the playoffs, and is the same 3 ERA roughly guy that we saw last year. I just don't think that's nearly the likeliest of scenarios. Is it possible? Of course, but
the one thing I'll say is I still don't think Stearns is going to rush him back. Like, I don't think they're going to sit there and say, well, we need a guy, so make one more rehab start, and then, I don't care. Like, they invested $75 million into him over the next 3 seasons. They're going to make sure he's ready to go. That's the one thing I'll say.
Yeah. It's a good point. You're right. There's no reason to rush him. The Phillies are going to win the division anyways. There's no reason to rush him, but
what?
Sorry. The inside thoughts came out.
Did you see you see this tweet yesterday? It was because the Mets and Phillies have traded 2 and 8 stretches now of twice each, yes. I think. So somebody was like, the winner of the NL East is just whoever doesn't go on the 2 and 8 stretch last.
Yeah,
at the end of the
that
year.
last week of the season.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Actually,
do they play each other in the last week or 2 of September?
Let me check.
So I have Mets schedule up right here.
Oh, you have it up. Then you check. I think sometime in September.
They play the second week. So the 8th through 11th, they have their last series of the year. It's a 4-gamer in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's great.
And then the Mets finish the year, not to go into September right now, but then the Mets finish the year with home stretch, Texas, San Diego, Washington for 12 games. And then on the road, Cubs, Marlins for 6.
That's great.
That's not a terrible finish, though. But
yeah, Cubs who are good, and the Marlins who, whenever the Mets need to beat the Marlins in any scenario, they lose to the Marlins.
In Miami, and you have the Padres in there. They're going to be playing for a spot.
Yeah, I don't really care. The Mets will take care of the Padres.
Oh, really? We're going to revisit this.
Not worried about the Padres. Am I worried about, oh my God, Jose Iglesias over there? Come on.
Yeah, you can use him at third base.
Vientos is back. Let's go.
Let me ask you this. Vientos stinks for the next 4 or 5 weeks. Do the Mets need a third baseman at the deadline?
No, Brett Beatty literally exists. He's actually been playing well, too. He had a good series against Atlanta.
I feel like...
So, it's actually true. I feel good about Brett right now.
A never-ending cycle of Brett Beatty hype that I just can't escape. I can't escape.
I just need to get to Brett Beatty Day.
What do they say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again with the same result.
He was good this week. He was very good this week. I think he went
Beatty's got to be the
7 for 14 against the Braves.
He has to be the most week by week case evaluation in Major League history. We have a full body of work of multiple years, but it's always, this week he was great. I think he's here. Next week he sucks. Gets sent down for 2 weeks, comes back up, plays well for a week, he's back. Then he sucks on Brett Beatty Day next month.
Oh, that would be awful. You know what? I'll give you your flowers here. I love Tyrone Taylor, but offensively, he's killing this team. And he'll go through a nice stretch here. You were a hater on Tyrone. I didn't like that because I love Tyrone.
I just see what's going on. I see the truth.
Yeah,
These
you saw the
players.
truth early. It's not good. It's not what you want. He's a great defender on center field, but when you got Jeff McNeil making plays like he was the other day against Marcell Ozuna, sit down, Marcell from the Braves. That was great.
I think the Mets, if we're looking at trade deadline targets today, for the Mets, how about Luis Robert or Jared Duran? And I understand.
I don't want Robert.
I understand the full-blown flaws with Robert, but I think those, just looking at that passing list before we started the show, those are just two of the center fielders, the bigger name center fielders that are probably going to get moved or be available. Would you want Duran, though? Because I think the Mets have to find an everyday center fielder with higher upside than Taylor. And to be honest, I don't think Robert even gives it to you this year.
No, I think you have guys. Are you talking about like going forward, like not even like this season, but just going into the future?
Into the future, yeah. I think you
because have guys coming up. So
I know, but
I don't think
now that you have an owner that's so willing to spend, I just love the idea of there's a veteran guy such as Duran out there, and we can go get him right now, and we don't really have to worry about center field for the next few years. We can use these prospects now in potential trade packages. I like the idea of getting Duran.
I don't know.
And you're taking him out of, think about Boston right now. The amount of, I don't want to call it pressure necessarily, but the amount of expectations Duran has received based on the context of that lineup, especially without Devers now, they can't hit at all. Duran would be, what, on the Mets, the seventh hitter?
He was really good last year. I mean,
he was great.
So good last year. And he was even good for a little bit in 2023.
I think the Mets have to look at Jarren Duran and say, there's serious upside here for us as a center fielder, because that's such a position of need.
What am I giving up? Like, that would be the biggest thing. And is he playing center field regularly, or is Rafaela still out there?
Rafael is out there. But
so
he's one of the best
what is he
fielders in the league?
No, I get that. I understand why he's not playing out there. Rafael is unbelievable, but how is he defensively in center field?
We're going to find out.
Is he a good defensive center fielder?
I think he's I don't even, serviceable might be even below what he is, but it's
because you have great defense in center field right now. I know that the bat is not there, but I don't know how willing David Stearns is going to be to throw out that great defense and go with the guy that is not that experienced in center field and is struggling this year.
All right, so based on a quick read here, Duran was league average outfielder last year and the year before, but has hit a decline this season. Leads Boston outfielders in errors. He's been Boston's worst outfielder.
He's playing left field, right?
Yes.
So that's good.
Which, I have takes about playing left field at Fenway, but simple math tells you it's one of the easier left fields in the league to play. Even though I think there's challenges that people don't
So consider. You're saying he sucks even worse.
So he probably sucks even worse because of how small left field is there. But at the same time, I don't know if I'd love playing left field with a 1,000-foot wall behind me.
Yeah.
10 feet behind me at all times. But still, if he's making errors, you shouldn't make errors at Fenway in left field.
You think Buxton's available?
No. I think he should be.
They're not good.
They're 4 games under 500, but this is part of what I talked about Tuesday. The trade deadline has totally been killed by the expanded playoff because any team now that's slightly under 500, but within 5-6 games of the deadline is saying we might be able to get in. We might have a shot.
Well, how far back are they?
Right now, Minnesota
in a wild card
is 4.5 games back.
See, that would be a guy I would go try and get. That'd be a guy, even though I'm so petrified of his injuries.
Yeah,
I would give up a decent amount to go get him. His contract's not bad.
Call. Then you're getting a guy too that you feel if you could just get him healthy for any stretch really of August, September, October, not even just this year but beyond. You think you're getting just a massive piece in the second half of your order.
And think about it, the contract, 7 years, $100 million. It runs out in 2028. He's 31 right now. That's another 3 years, so you're paying the back end. But if you get this year and another year of him being really solid in center field and a solid bat, Buxton's the guy. Let's go. Let's start. We're going to start a bring me Buxton. Bring Buxton.
Byron to the Mets.
Byron me Buxton. Bring him to Queens.
Bad. That's bad. That's really bad.
That's better
like
than
that.
Byron to Queens.
No, I just said bring Buxton to the Mets.
No, we got to start like a
Byron
cool
me
thing.
Buxton.
Byron me Buxton, Stevie. Come on. I want him. That's who I want.
And I also think read
that's who you go get.
Read that contract one more time.
7 years, $100 million. Started in 2022, expires in 2028.
That's a really good contract, actually.
Yeah, it's almost like the Jeff McNeil contract, one of the best in baseball right now.
Also, with Duran, I think Duran.
Just let that one slide. You're not even going to respond to that.
I actually didn't even acknowledge it until you started laughing, and I was like, "Did you just say Jeff McNeil's contract?"
It's one of the better ones of baseball. We can discuss that in a minute.
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
Jared Duran, I think the plus to him too is you could probably trade him pretty easily if he just didn't do the job for you. Like, you could probably flip him again.
Yeah, I don't want to be thinking about that, though, because if he doesn't do the job, then you had an epic fail in the postseason, and now I'm looking to shop this guy for what? For pennies on the dollar?
Yes. He's older, too, Duran. He's older. So, how old's Buxton? 30?
31. You're going to bring me an outfielder. Bring me Byron.
Byron me Buxton.
Byron me Buxton. I love it.
All right, so Mets trade deadline candidate, Byron Buxton.
And Aroldis Chapman.
Yes, and Chapman, how about the season he's having? Like, are we serious?
Yeah, Chappie. My guy, Chappie. Let's go.
Unbelievable this year. Yeah, that would be
least favorite players in the league.
So you would want Chapman to be a setup?
I would want Chapman to be the setup man. They need a lefty, too. That's the problem. They need a lefty bad.
You know, there's not a lot of lefty relievers in the league right now.
Nope. That's why you're going to have to give up a pretty penny for Aroldis.
Tanner Scott?
He's not available.
He might be.
He was available last year. He's been bad, right?
Yeah.
He's still been bad.
He's starting to come around, though. No, he's starting to come around.
That's why you can't pay these relievers too much money unless it's Edwin Diaz. It's just
he's down now to a 3.5 ERA. He finally got his whip under 1. He's 0.97. Tanner Scott.
So he's back.
Yeah,
he hasn't seen the Mets or the Yankees, so he's back. We lit him up.
Back. Let's go. All right, so that's a little Mets deadline stuff. Vientos, we mentioned it briefly. Back up. Jared Young, done. Jared Young stunk. One of the worst baseball players we've seen. But Young, out. Mauricio, staying, right?
Mauricio's staying. He had a good last few days here against Atlanta. He adds more positional value. He could play second. He could play short. He could play third. So Jared Young doesn't really play anything. And Young wasn't hitting, and Ronnie started to. The only thing I thought they were going to do was I thought they were going to let Ronnie go back to AAA and get consistent at bats. The same thing they did with Acuna. And they decided against that. They said, you know what? We're going to keep the best guys up here right now, and he's one of the best guys, and he has to stay. So I can respect that decision. I would have understood sending him down, though, and that's really what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah. I would have sent Mauricio down. But at the same time, for the points you just gave, he has the good second half of the series, or good series against Atlanta, but good. I mean, yesterday went deep. He had a good game 3. He's starting to look a little comfortable. So you show him the respect and say, he'll stick around, and they could use him around the field. Like, he's not just going to sit on the bench for 3 weeks.
Right.
He'll get
ABs.
He will. And Mauricio looked good. Was it 2 years ago now or 3 years ago now when he was up before he got hurt in the offseason too? And you want to try to get some of that back. Would you be willing? I wanted to bring this up with a Duran, Buxton, Robert conversation. Would you be willing to get rid of any pairing of Vientos, Beatty, Mauricio for any of those center fielders?
Yeah, I'll drive him to Minnesota.
With Vientos also? Or no? Like, who's the guy out of that? Because you're a huge Beatty
Beatty and
guy.
Mauricio.
Love
I'll give
Beatty.
Beatty. I'll give up Beatty and Mauricio.
It would obviously be among another guy.
Right, like Beatty, Mauricio, and a pitching prospect. Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
So is there an incentive to try and get Mauricio going a little bit over these next few weeks if they don't love him right now? If the Mets are saying, we think his peak is just a streaky 2-3 week player, is there an incentive to get Mauricio hot before the All-Star break?
Well, I think, yeah, but I also think it would have done the same thing in the minor leagues, where if he went and tore up the minor leagues, getting consistent at bats, I think that would have risen his stock as well.
Yeah.
But obviously it helps more if you're doing it in the majors. I'm unsure if he's going to get enough at bats to actually get going, because it's going to be a lot of Vientos and Beatty, whether Vientos is at third and Beatty's at second, or Beatty's at third and Vientos is DHing. It's going to be a lot of them. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on the Mets here?
I'm good.
All right, we'll talk a little bit of Yankees. I only have a few minutes because they had the off day. I don't really have too much that I want to discuss with them, but they get the win in Game 3. Let's talk about the division. They have the second slimmest division lead now in the league. Only one that's closer is the Mets and Phillies.
It's tied. It's tied.
Is it? I thought it was a half game difference.
Yeah, I'm saying they're tied for the slimmest lead.
Yeah, I thought it was a half game. I thought it was a half game and one game.
No, half and half.
Oh, crap. When I checked it last night.
Half a game out. Dude.
When I checked it last night, it was Mets were up by a half game. Yankees were up by one game. There was 2 nights ago I checked it, but it must not have registered the other game. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Okay, so they both have the slimmest leads in the division. Reasons to worry about the Rays here. You go.
Yeah, their pitching is. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be petrified. Number one, they always play you tough. Number two, they always figure out some devil magic in the bullpen where they have guys that could just pitch and pitch and pitch. They have good starters. They have a solid top 3 or 4 here. Shane Baz has great stuff. His ERA is a little high. Same with Taj Bradley. The walks are up, but he has good stuff. Like, he has really good stuff. Rassman's been unbelievable. Littell's been good. Like, this is a very good ball club with a really good closer in Fairbanks. And I mean, again, like, offensively, they're good. They have players here. Caminero has been great. Aranda should start in the All-Star game at first base. Brandon Lau leads second. I know Brandon Lau leads second baseman in home runs.
Yeah, I like
very good team.
For the record, and we could pull the clips from this. I like the Rays because before the season, I said this is a team that's going to surprise people. They were part of my reasoning for picking Baltimore to finish in last. It had a lot more to do with Tampa was going to be better than we think, than Baltimore was going to be absolutely terrible, which they haven't been either the last month. But first of all, crazy that Caminero is 21 years old. I did not know that until about a week or two ago.
Yeah,
so Tampa, who Wander Franco news hits yesterday, found guilty. Obviously, he was never playing for them again anyways. But Tampa lost that guy. They got rid of a Rosarena, and you had to start thinking, are they going to be able to develop another guy in the next few years? Obviously, Caminero is that guy. And
I'm pretty sure they paid him.
I think they did. Let me see. Contracts on here.
No, they didn't.
They paid somebody in the last year or two, I thought.
So did I. Maybe,
but either way,
when we go on Sport Track,
when you have all these guys, you still have Yandy Diaz is having a really good year. He's got over an 800 OPS. Aranda's been phenomenal, absolutely terrific.
And the bench pieces, though, the bench pieces they have, they're not great hitters, but they hit for average, and they're all fast. They all can steal bases. They're just a team you don't want to play ever.
And this lends to what Joe Kelly and the Dodgers said about the Yankees last year. But this is why, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to find this out, this is why the Rays have always played the Yankees tough, even when they're not a good team, because what does Kevin Cash always have them doing? First of all, Kevin Cash pushes the right buttons. He's definitely the best manager in the American League East. That I would never even be debated about. I would never argue it. He's definitely the best manager in the AL East. I've been saying that for a few years. But he has the team always playing great fundamental defense and always athletic on the bases. And their roster is always athletic in general. So the Yankees right there are polar opposites as to fundamental defensively and the
base running.
Base running and the athleticism. I lost my train of thought for a second. But also,
just like the Yankees on the base paths.
Yeah, exactly. And in the field. And at the plate this last month. But also, the Yankees have always been more of the home run hitting philosophy. More of the, if we can hit a 3-run home run every game, we're going to win every game. Where Tampa has that, but there's you hit it on the head. The guys on the bench, the guys in the second half of the order, and the guys at the top hit situationally way better than the Yankees ever do.
No, 100%. And like this season, you went into this offseason trying to improve what the Dodgers said about you last year, right? Which was, we just wanted to put the ball in play. We know they can't run the bases, this and that, just all the crap they were talking. And the Yankees, for the most part, they looked better early on in the season, not lately, but early on in the season, it looked like they had improved those things. If you run into a Rays team in the postseason, I don't think it's a good matchup. I really don't think it's a good matchup. I don't think it's a good matchup for many people. I really do.
I agree with. I think that the Yankees would lose a postseason series to them, and I'm really not clouded by the judgment of the last month. I think this is the Yankees' worst month of the year. It will be. It'll be their rock bottom. But I would not want to play any of the American League East teams because the Yankees don't play the division well this year. I would not want to play any of the AL East teams, obviously the Rays being the one I'd fear the most. But I think over 162 games, I'm still more optimistic about the Yankees winning the division, especially with Tampa. I don't think McClanahan's coming back. I know they want to talk about McClanahan coming back. I don't think he's coming back. He had the big setback earlier in the month. Cash did not sound optimistic about him at all. And then it becomes a Manaea situation anyways. If they get him back 3 weeks into August, what is he for the last 5 weeks of the season?
So right now, I am looking at the World Series odds. The World Series odds on FanDuel. Now, we heard yesterday the Rays are talking to Major League Baseball about, where they're going to play their postseason games. So you already kind of have this disadvantage of not a real home field, right? You're dealing with that anyway this year, but in general, in the postseason, you'll be dealing with no home field advantage. The Rays are plus 2,300 to win the World Series. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th best odds.
Yeah.
Only the Cubs, Mets, Astros, Phillies, Tigers, Yankees, Dodgers have more. Higher odds, lower odds.
And the Yankees lead the way in the AL.
They're the 8th, sorry. Mets are the 6th. Tigers are plus 800. The Yankees are plus 650. Phillies plus 950. Mets plus 1,100. A little weird.
Well, that's because of the ALNL. They're just picking the AL teams. Have
no, I'm saying Mets, Phillies. Like Phillies are lower odds. Well,
come on.
We kind of own them.
Obviously. No. Trust me, it's not the case.
I have the Mets at 900.
You got them at 900? That's waste of money.
Right before Alonso signed. Wait,
how much did you put down on it?
Put 100 on it.
That's like that meme. If you bet 100 on the Mets to win the World Series, you lose $100.
That's just not true. Hold on, I gotta find the ticket.
Dodgers odds are way too good.
I got plus 850.
Plus 220 on the Dodgers is crazy. Like, they're not. I don't think they're. This time last year, I would have said okay. This time this year, I don't feel the same way about them.
No, it's nuts. It's crazy. I would never lay that number.
But it probably also has something to do with they're definitely going to win their division.
Yeah, but are you going to be the top seed? You're probably going to be the top seed. And then, if you're not getting those pitchers back, like, when are you getting Snell back? When are you getting Sasaki back? When are you getting Glass now
and
back?
Even then, how it's the same situation. Sasaki was terrible. So I don't know if Sasaki even gives you a boost this year. And then Snell, we've seen him have really bad years. So if he came back and he wasn't great, I'm not shocked. And Glass now, how much can you actually rely on the guy to be there for more than 3 consecutive weeks?
You think my Blake Snell Cy Young pick's kind of out at this point?
Probably cooked.
Okay.
It's probably cooked.
Okay. I'll throw that ticket out.
No, you never know, but
No, I think I'm cooked there.
Probably get rid of that.
Yeah. I felt really
Probably
good
get rid of
about that. Felt really good about that. But yeah, I think the Yankees are cooked here.
And
When do they play the Rays again? I can't
do,
wait.
Do you think they're going to lose the division cooked?
No, I don't. I actually don't think they're going to lose the division. I think the Rays will cool off. They're on a real hot streak. The Yankees are on a cold streak, and they didn't lose first place. I think the Yankees will prevail. I think it'll be a close division race. I think you'll get the division race you thought you were getting last season with Baltimore this year with Tampa. And
That's
I
fair.
think the Yankees will win the division. But in a postseason series, I would agree with you. I don't like the Yankees' chances in a 7-game series with them.
Or a 5. I don't like him in either.
Okay, or a 5.
But
maybe even
the
a
next
3.
time they play Tampa is the end of July. They play them the last 4 days of July.
Let's go.
So it's 3 series after the All-Star break. 4th series after the All-Star break. Let's see what that shapes up in September. They don't play them in September. That stinks. Yeah, they played the Orioles last weekend of the year. MLB put that thinking that they were going to be the division race, but
well, they're not. Are the Orioles still back or no? What's going on with that?
No, they're not back. There's 6. The Yankees have 6 games left against Tampa. 2 games in August, the 19th and 20th, and that's in Tampa. And they have 4 games at Yankee Stadium against them, which home away versus the Rays really doesn't make a huge difference this year.
Right? Yeah. Oh
yeah,
no,
Baltimore Stadium either way.
Baltimore's cooked. Yeah,
Baltimore
field. Yeah.
What else did I have? Yankees, Judge All-Star game locked in. We knew that.
Yeah, congrats.
Goldie Goldschmidt's been terrible. Goldschmidt's been so bad. He can't hit righties.
Going to be an All-Star. Awful.
Going to be an All-Star.
It's awful.
And I'm a little concerned. They're starting pitching. I love their starting pitching right now. But because Schmidt's been great, Warren's been great, Fried's obviously Fried, Rodon's been good, probably closer to great than good. But
your guy,
the Yarborough injury is a concern because he had the kid Winans pitch last week. Solid line, gave up 4 runs in 5 innings, I think.
Yeah.
3 runs in 5 innings. But it was terrible major leaguer before this with Atlanta. And I don't have too much faith in him to be a guy that can give you a month or 2 of the season of strong outings. And I don't want Stroman up because we saw the rehab starts. He was a disaster.
Yeah, but don't read too much into the rehab starts. It's like spring training. It's like spring training for those guys. Yeah, Montas got rocked.
Yeah, but it's Stroman. It's not like Fried was doing a rehab start. And
Montas sucks.
Yeah.
Montas is terrible.
Stroman's worse.
Okay, yeah, but still, it's the same caliber. You see they're online to pitch that Saturday, July 5th?
I know.
Got to get there.
Are you going out?
I'm trying to. It's the weekend's crazy.
I was looking way too expensive though.
I was looking forward to it being on the weekend here, the July 4th weekend, and now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, there's way too much going on that weekend, at least in my life, and just I'm guessing in most people's lives, where I'm like, this is just awful.
Hate it. Terrible weekend to put those games.
Can we get a contender in here before my computer dies?
Yep, we're about to do it. All right.
Yeah.
So I have 13 teams here for contender. Do you want to start in the NL or the AL? The NL has 8 of the 13 teams.
Let's start with the NL.
Okay. So first, we're going to go Mets. Contender or pretender at this point in the season?
The Mets are a contender.
Get the easy ones out of the way first. Dodgers.
Contender.
Let's go to the Phillies.
Contender.
All right, now the rest I think are interesting. The last 5. Cubs.
The Cubs are a contender. They're legit. I love to see them add some pitching, but they're legit.
Giants.
I'm gonna say contender for now. Very close. You add Rafi. I love Logan Webb. They're gonna need another pitcher or 2, but I'll say contender.
Padres.
Contender, but they need some work.
And lastly, Milwaukee Brewers. I actually have one team after that I want to do. Brewers first.
I'll say the Brewers are pretenders. There's just too many teams in the National League, and they don't have a guy with an over 800 OPS in their lineup. So I'll say pretender.
How about the Mizorowski skiing start?
That was great. I watched a little bit of that.
Miz dominated it.
Yeah, it was good. Looks like DeGrom.
Yeah, DeGrom almost perfect game this week.
Yeah.
Tough. Met. Jerry Seinfeld. Met.
Jerry Seinfeld met.
Last one. I know that they're a pretender, but buyer or seller, Arizona Diamondbacks.
They're going to sell. They're pretenders.
Okay.
They're going to sell. They have to sell. They have too much good talent, too many resources not to sell.
All right. Now we move to the AL. Yankees. We just had a long conversation about them.
Contender. I almost said pretender on accident.
Yeah, I heard the pre. I was like, are we really going there with this?
No. Contender.
How about the Tigers?
They are a contender as well, but not as strong.
Rays.
Contender. Stronger contender than the Tigers.
Astros.
I can't believe it. I really can't believe how good they are. Hunter Brown should be the AL Cy Young Award winner. They're legit. They're contenders. I'd be a little worried there if I were the Yanks.
Seattle Mariners.
Pretender.
Absolute pretender. So I'm just going to end the show with
Can
this.
you say the Blue Jays, please?
Blue Jays.
Pretender. The biggest fake, phony pretenders in the world. The fact they're over 500 makes me want to throw up.
I didn't even include them in this.
I know. Well, I was waiting for it and I wanted it.
You weren't getting that one. The last point I have to make on today's show is I think that the Yankees would lose a playoff series to Tampa, to Detroit, and to Houston.
So you don't feel good about the Yankees right now?
No. Not at all.
As currently constructed, though.
Yeah, but
no moves made.
Also, who is the deadline guy that they're getting that makes me feel different?
Eugenio Suarez.
High strikeout. I know how that goes for the Yankees in the playoffs.
Okay. Negative.
But also, on the topic of the Astros, they're this good without Alvarez having a good year at all.
Well, has he even played?
He hasn't played much at all. So when they get him back full time, I don't know if he's on the IL right now, but I know he's not playing. Or he wasn't playing last week.
Let me check. 48-33. I can't believe this.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Yordan Alvarez announcement after missing 40 games. And he was terrible when he played in the first 30 games.
Terrible. He's on the IL right now.
Right hand fracture, so he is on the IL. Signs of positive progress. On Sunday, the star slugger worked on his recovery by swinging a bat off the tee. He's scheduled to continue rehab drills today. Yeah, so they're going to get him back. That's the signature Aaron Boone, Brian Cashman trade deadline acquisition for the Houston Astros is Yordan Alvarez.
And that's a pretty big piece.
That's very scary. Meanwhile, the Yankees are going to try to sell me on, well, we got LeMahieu back. We're waiting for him to get in the groove. And
IKF.
We're getting IKF, and we're getting Scott Efros back.
Let's go. Come on.
Boone already did it with the Stanton. You see he said that about Stanton?
Yes, I did see that.
It's June, man. It's
and
the middle of June.
They said it about Heel.
Yeah,
so.
Who's never going to pitch either.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw Heel. Big trade deadline acquisition.
He'll never pitch either. All right. I'm good for today. Good Friday, yeah.
My computer, well, it's not Good Friday, but yeah, Good Friday, yeah. Yeah, my computer's probably about to die, so,
Good Friday. Good Friday.
Yeah.
That was a really good Friday. Episode 60. Can't believe it. 60 in the books. Appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate everybody listening. BTO Media goes on. Besides the Burrows, check out Giuseppe Alveri, No Good Takes. Check out Gabe Zoda, The Playbook. And you can also find now Mic'd Up, The Bunker, The Hardline. Everything full swing right now in this June, end of June now, heading into the beginning of July. Next week, we're entering Subway Series week, so we'll have another fun week of Yankee Mets stuff. Big week of Yankee Mets stuff. One team will have their season revived. The other will have their season ended, as the nature of the Subway Series usually goes. But even more so this time because of how they've played. We might get a Stroman-Montas game. That would be special.
I can't wait.
That would be special. All right. Wrap it up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, episode 61 next Tuesday.